Good morning. This is Rachel with Infused Meadow, and today I'm making a treat for whenever. Sorry, I'm struggling to open the peanut butter. Love when that happens. No, I did not make my own. I do not have peanuts in the house right now, or else I would. But I do have a small thing of Skippy. So that's what I'm going to be using. Anyway, I'm going to be making my mom's peanut butter balls. And so the only thing that you haven't seen me measure out is the 1.5 tablespoons of butter, room temperature, unsalted. Everything I do is with unsalted butter. I don't keep salted butter in the house. That way I can control how much salt goes into a recipe without having to guesstimate it, if that makes sense. It should make sense. So what I'm doing right now is I'm measuring out a half a cup of peanut butter, creamy peanut butter. Now you could probably do this with, the one that has the nuts in it. I wouldn't, because we will be using the hand mixer to cream this together. So like I said, it's a half a cup of peanut butter. I would not use the store-bought organic because it is too oily. You do not need the extra oil in this recipe. So keep that in mind when you're making, well, almost anything that uses peanut butter, if we're honest. Okay, so there's my half cup of peanut butter. And these can be made and then stored in the freezer if you want. And then that way you can pull them, whenever you want some. They'll also store in an airtight container on your counter for at least a week. Or you could put them in the refrigerator to last you 2 to 3 weeks. So there's my peanut butter. Let me put this over here. You're also going to want a pan lined with parchment paper or wax paper, whichever one you got. We're going to go in with just a pinch of salt. Just a pinch. It's about 1/8 a teaspoon. And then you're going to want to sift in. I was hoping that would set without getting on the peanut butter. Just barely makes it. Okay. We're going to start with a half a cup. Now, you'll use anywhere between 1 and 2 cups. But I'm going to do these in a half cup increments. And for that, I won't make you watch. I have a paper towel sitting out there in case the camera doesn't see it. I've got a few things going on this morning. I've already made some barbecue sauce for some other things that I need to do. I do have a recipe on the barbecue sauce if you're at all curious. It's completely made out of all things dry, except for a few liquids, which I use coffee. Anyway, I'm going to mix this. I think that this is somewhat quiet. Always do this on low because that powdered sugar will go flying. Making sure I pick up everything that's on the bottom. And now I'm going to add another half cup. It's a little less, but it'll be fine. If you think about this ahead of time, this was a last minute thing for me. But if you think about it ahead of time, go ahead and pre-measure out your powdered sugar. That way you can just, you know, do a half cup. And you'll get to your 1 cup. Or you can, you know, measure out your powdered sugar and then just add it in half at a time. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Sorry. It's a last minute. Ooh, I should make that. Okay, as you can see, it's very well crumbled, which is what I'm looking for. Let me move this. I'll be right back. Okay, so right here I have myself a little Dutch oven, and I've gone ahead and put some water in my pot, and I want to turn this on high because I need that water to start boiling. Once it starts boiling, I'm going to turn it down to a simmer. And at that point, I'm going to add my chocolate in. I'm going to go in with 1.5 cups of chocolate. And then I'll bring you back whenever I add the chocolate. Okay? We'll be back. While that's still heating, once this is heating, what I like to do is I like to go through with my spatula and just press the peanut butter to make sure that it forms a ball. And that it's, you know, still very manageable. And then that's it. We'll be back. Okay, so I have a simmer. And what I want to do is I'm going to drop my chocolate in. And then we want to just keep it moving. Okay? Yes, it's a little full, but it's okay because this will, as it melts down, it'll be fine. Alright, I think you get the gist of it. I'll bring you back when this is all done. So my chocolate is almost completely melted. So now I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of the refined, excuse me, coconut oil. Refined so that it has no flavor, because I don't want to add coconut flavor to this. And that little bit of coconut will give your chocolate a nice, pretty shine. I've also turned my heat off because I do not want my chocolate to seize. And I'm just mixing in that coconut until I don't see it anymore. Beautiful. Okay, now all we want to do, I'm going to tilt that right there. Okay, if you want uniformity, you're going to use a cookie scoop. So let me show you that. I'll go grab my scoop. So for this part, you're going to want some toothpicks, your cookie scoop, ice cream scoop, and you're going to use whatever size you want to make these. So if you want a bigger one, go bigger. All you're going to do is form these into a ball. You're going to add that toothpick to them. I say that, and then mine's like, no. And then all you want to do is just drop this down into your chocolate. Use your spatula or a spoon to gently make sure that you get your chocolate over that. And this is going to be a pain in my butt today. Actually, one second. I knew better. Use a fork to go up and under it to help lift that out. And that will help you get rid of the excess chocolate. You can remove the stick from here and then just use your fork to dab your chocolate over it. And then another way, where is my paper towel? Is to just take your scoop and then form that into your ball. Using that same fork, just move that around in your chocolate. And then you're just going to lift that up, let the excess drip off, and move that over to your paper. And then from there, you just continue doing all the rest of them. So I'm going to get these all done, and then we'll be right back. You know how when you haven't made something in a while, because like we don't have treats all the time, not like this kind of treat. But anyway, you know how when you haven't made something in a while, it takes you a second to get into the groove. So I'm bringing you back to show you that I remembered my groove, and I thought I would show you because it does make it a lot easier. Let me pull this one and then I'll show you. So as you're going to do this with all of them, unless you really want a lot of excess chocolate on your, over here, which means if it's over here, it's not on your peanut butter balls. So what you want to do is just press, you're going to take your peanut butter, press that up against the side so you get it nice and firm. And I like to take my finger and make sure that I wipe off any of the excess or make sure that it fits. Drop that in there. Should land on its side. And then all you want to do is take your fork, put your chocolate all over it, and then you're just going to pick that up and just do this a few times to try to get as much of that excess chocolate off as possible. And then you're just going to set that over here. And there you go. I'll be back. Okay, so I have these done. Hopefully you can see them. I've got 4, 8, 12, 24, 28. So what you can do from there is I do have a little bit of chocolate left. Not much. You can take the little bit that you should have left. Now, okay, this will also depend on like how big or little of a scoop that you use. Depends on whether or not you'll have some chocolate left. I use the really super small, I think it's like a 1 teaspoon scoop. But if you use the bigger ones, because you'll be making less, you'll probably end up with quite a bit of chocolate left. Unless you're heavy-handed, which I wouldn't blame you if you were. So I'm using a dark chocolate. I just cut up the chocolate that I prefer in my home. I don't buy the the chocolate chips at the store. I just go ahead and take my bars and I chop them up and I store them in jars of 1.5 cup measurements, because most of the recipes that I make that use chocolate chips are about 1.5 cups. So you're going to use whatever chocolate you prefer, okay? So if you like milk chocolate, use milk chocolate. You're still going to do the exact same thing. And the upside to a double boiler versus the microwave is you can get a feel of when your chocolate is good to go. And if you work a little slower than your chocolate cools, then you can, just put it back on the heat, turn the eye back on, and then from there you're just going to stir it up and get it, back to your nice consistency that you're looking for. Now you can only do that so many times with chocolate, and then you will, you'll notice it will seize up. I don't like to do the microwave for that exact reason. I tend to have a hard time getting my chocolate right in the microwave. I tend to seize it. So anyway, from here, all you're going to do is you can leave this at room temperature, and after about 30 minutes, it should be hard. Or you can put this in your refrigerator, and it'll just harden up a little bit faster. After that, you're just going to pull it off of this, put this into an airtight container or jar, where, you know, whatever your storage preference is, and just enjoy these. They're really nice. They're not overly sweet. Now, if you do want a very sweet one, you can add, I don't know, we'll say 1 tablespoon of sugar, whether it's brown sugar or white sugar, doesn't matter, when you do your peanut butter. Or you can, you know, honestly, you've got powdered sugar in it. I don't know why you'd want it sweeter, but if you do, you do. So you can add about a tablespoon of extra, you know, like brown sugar to this if you want to. And you can even give yourself, you know, about 1/4 a teaspoon of vanilla in there if you want. If you want a little bit of a peppermint taste to your mixture, which peanut butter and peppermint, I mean, if that's what you like, then start with about a 1/4 a teaspoon of your peppermint extract. Mix that in and taste it. Or you can mix it straight into your chocolate if that's really what you want. But, you know, it's all on what you want and what you like. So I hope that this recipe is helpful in some way, shape, or form. It is not going to be as luxurious. I do a lot of old-fashioned, simple recipes. That's what I was taught, and I don't see a point in dressing most of them up because I think they're good as is. You know the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? I tend to not fix it if it ain't broke. And this is one of those. This is what my mom does. We used to give these out in our candy. We used to do these candy things. We'd take these containers and fill it up with different candies for Christmas time. And we would take those to our neighbors. And then, you know, when the family would get together for Christmas, everybody would bring their own tins of different candy because everybody would make something different. And this was one of the ones that my mom always made. This poor man's candy, potato candy, this little snowball things that she used to make, praline pecan. There's all kinds of things that Mom would make, and we would spend days getting all these candies together to put into one large thing, you know, to hand out to neighbors, and like I said, when the family, you know, the family Christmas get together kind of thing. But I just use Mom's recipe because it was always good, and there's no point in adding too many things to make things more complicated than what they are. So I hope you make these, especially if you got like a kind of a Reese cup sweet tooth going on. This is kind of like the Reese cups. They're very good, in my opinion, but I'm biased. Anyway, I hope you try these. I hope you love them, if not like them. And if not, then hey, I am sure there's somebody out there that's got a recipe that hopefully will be right for you. And as always, you have yourself a wonderful day.